March is a great time to switch things up and bring something different into your classroom. And one activity that students absolutely love is running a March Madness style poetry tournament. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how this works and how you can use it to teach poetry analysis, evidence-based reasoning, and discussion skills in your middle school ELA classroom. So this activity runs just like a tournament where poems compete against each other in multiple rounds until students vote on a final winning poem. But the key is that students aren't just voting, they're analyzing the poems and supporting their opinions with evidence from the text. So I'm going to show you exactly how this works. So students begin with a bracket of 16 poems arranged in tournament matchups. On the first day, students read all 16 poems and they make predictions about which poem they think might ultimately win the competition. Now, this is a great opportunity for students to simply experience the poems first, right? Noticing what stands out to them, what they connect with, and which poems they find most interesting. Once students have read the poems and filled out their prediction brackets, you are ready to officially begin the tournament rounds. All right, so round one is all about analyzing topics. So students are focusing just on examining two poems at a time against each other, and they're determining what topic the poems share. So a topic is simply the important idea or the subject that the poem explores. We might be looking at things like friendship, freedom, childhood, hope, identity, things like that. So students are going to respond to questions like the following. What topic do these two poems share? How does each author explore that topic? And then which poem explores the topic more effectively? Students write their responses first, then they're going to discuss in small groups. After that discussion, students will then vote on which poem advances to round number two. So round number two, now students are focusing on imagery. So imagery refers to obviously the sensory details that help readers picture what's happening in a poem and experience it through the 5 different senses. So in this round, we have fewer poems and students are examining questions such as, what imagery can you find in each of these poems? What senses do they appeal to? In your opinion, which of the two poems in this matchup best uses imagery to enhance and engage the poem, right? So students must point to specific lines in the poem to support their ideas before they vote on the winning poem for that particular round. So you can see how students aren't just reading poems and voting, they're reading and analyzing poems and then voting. So we've talked about topic, we've talked about imagery. Now round number 3, we're focused on figurative language. So by this round, there are only 4 poems left in the entire tournament. So students are now analyzing, focusing on similes, metaphors, personification. And students are going to identify examples of figurative language, and then they'll discuss how those choices of figurative language affect the meaning or the impact of the poem. Students also argue, like, which of these two poems in this matchup best uses figurative language to engage the audience and enhance the poem. Again, as always, students need to support their reasoning with textual evidence before deciding which poem advances. Now, the final round, round number 4, is all about making connections. And students are going to consider, how readers might connect with this poem in different ways. So we're looking at things like text to self connections, text to text connections, text to world connections, right? Things along those lines. So students are answering questions like the following. What connections were you able to make with each poem? Were any of these connections particularly powerful? Do you think a wide audience would be able to make connections with this text, or only a particular type of person? And that ends all rounds, right? They vote on their winners, and we get the winning poem, and the winning poem is announced to the class. So after that winning poem is announced, we still have students complete a little reflection about the experience. So they're going to consider questions like, did this activity change the way that you read poetry? Hopefully the answer is yes. Will it change the way that you read poems in the future? And what strategies helped you understand the poems better? We also want to ask them, do you agree with the final winning poem, right? Why or why not? And if you didn't, which one do you think is the best of all of them and why? And what I love about that reflection is it helps students think about the analytical skills that they used throughout the tournament. So a poetry tournament like this is a great way to get students actively discussing poetry while practicing important analytical skills, right? Students are reading closely, they're supporting their ideas with evidence, and they're engaging in meaningful conversations about poetry. So that's super important, right? They're not just reading a poem and discussing it. They're reading the poem through multiple different lenses. And I think that really gives students a super expansive picture of what poetry can actually do for them and be like in their experience of it. So thanks so much for watching this video. If you use it with your students, let us know in the description and comment section below, or send me a message over on Instagram at EB Academics. All right, you guys, thanks so much for watching. For more videos like this, hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.